Hold on. Okay, I started the meeting. I'm so proud.
All right. Call the meeting to order. Any public comments about the library and its operations? None? We've had a chance to look at the meeting minutes from last time. Are there any corrections or additions? If not, I will welcome a motion to accept them as submitted.
Move to accept.
Second.
All approved?
Aye.
Okay. General business. I believe it's down to library director report.
Yeah, well, I thought maybe in general business what we could do is, it can go anywhere, but I thought I'd give you an update on
Okay.
the library building
Sure.
and that kind of stuff here. And I apologize for the fact that I didn't get stuff done, and the director's report that you got was like in alien print, because they got, I don't know, I keep struggling with their Granicus thingy here, the software, and every month they have to handhold me through it, and if you do one thing wrong, it like throws everything off, and it's a magic trick that I just haven't quite got down yet, in addition to levitation and walking on water. So what I wanted to tell you about with the status of the building, the new building project is, and I'm not sure that much of this is new, but so we have a contract for a parking consultant, but I have no update to give you on that report. I don't really know what they've been doing, if anything. The geotech people have finalized their report, which is in engineering talk, and I'm waiting for the CRESA people to translate that into dollars. So,
Do we know where the rocks are?
we know there are rocks. We are not surprised to hear there are
It
rocks.
will not guarantee anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Never.
yeah, that's kind of throughout the language. I did pick up on that.
It's an art, not a science.
I just think they don't want to,
If they don't want the liability.
yeah, exactly.
So we'll get a report with an alleged rock.
There was an alleged rock
A
spotted
rumor
today,
rock.
yeah. So, so at any rate, we have made progress on that. So the
Okay.
report is back, and then CRESA can do what it needs to massage that information into actual money translation as well as we can. And then the tree assessment people are trying to get the most recent site survey of the property, and we may have to do a new one. And you mentioned this before. We probably will, because we're not really coming up with a good
City doesn't have anything recent on record.
well, it's really hard to herd the cats to find that out. But the most recent thing that we've been able to come up with is 2000. So, I mean, that's 13 years.
That's too old for
Yeah,
the.
that's what I was thinking.
for the
So if
record.
that's it, I know we're going to be doing a new site survey, which we probably should just do anyway, and then we'll have it.
Right.
But speaking of trees, there is a tree that's going to have to go ahead and come down due to Dutch elm. And I asked if that could be turned into anything, saved and turned into anything, but I was told that if it has Dutch elm disease, you have to destroy it a specific way so that Dutch elm doesn't spread.
Even as carving material or something?
Yeah, that's what.
Well,
Interesting.
I don't know if that's true or not, because
Well, I don't know either, but
I have
that's.
a couple of items in my household made from one of the elms, a big bowl and something else.
Right, but it diseased, a diseased elm?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
I think,
that's down
I
on
think
the
that
top.
it would be resolved
That was
if
milk.
the tree were
Abernathy.
properly milled
Doesn't
and
have to-
dried.
Correct.
The Abernathy tree was
Properly
moved.
milled and dried?
Dried, yeah.
Okay.
They,
corrected.
they
That
issue
was an elm.
drying certificates, and if it's properly dried,
Right.
done in a
Right.
proper kiln, it probably would be okay.
And because this one's going to come down relatively soon, it may be that, the storage of it and all that kind of stuff might not be worth doing to this one, but maybe future ones. But at any rate, I'll try and follow up on that.
Which, is that the one right there on the?
The one I was told that has dead leaves all over it.
I'll
So,
take a look.
yeah, very helpful, right?
What were you thinking about with the wood?
Well,
Medallions or something?
no, I was thinking about circulation,
Oh, furniture.
Yeah.
countertop. I mean,
Mhm.
I mean, it depends on how
Right.
much you could get, but those are some big
Handrails.
trees, right?
Sure.
So,
And elm would be an excellent material.
It would
Yeah.
be, yeah, exactly, yeah.
That'd be great.
And I just,
But the whoever's taking it down you could discuss with them ultimately about saving certain portions of the tree for
Mm-hmm.
milling.
Yeah, and you
then
have to
they would
save it
just-
within certain millable lengths. You don't want them
Yeah.
cutting it up in little
right,
strips.
right, because then you,
Yeah.
you
Right.
can't build as much, right, if it's all
Right.
chopped up,
And then
yeah.
it's possible that it could be handled to the mill, still quarantined adequately and then dried
Right.
Okay.
after
Does that
milling.
sound expensive to you?
No, that's how most wood is handled anyway.
okay.
So they just have to be,
Yeah.
but they may have to keep it separate if they have to do any kind of quarantine of the chunks of wood that actually need to be handled. I don't know whether the disease is in the trunk of the tree or whether it's in the leaves.
On the
of
roots or where, that's,
Yeah.
yeah. different-
It's in the
it
circulation system,
kinda- Yeah.
so,
Oh,
but-
so it could be in everything.
yeah. It's transmitted by the beetle, and that goes into the xylem and the phloem.
So it could even be transmitted by hauling it down to the mill and.
Well,
and
I'm
having
not
it
so
thawed.
sure about that. I know it affects the foliage, and it finally ends up killing that, and then the tree just kind of dies of rot after that. But I don't know about
The beetles must move on.
the beetles. Move on
Yeah.
to another tree.
Yeah.
They need a live host. From what I
Right.
learned from the Dutch elm disease back in Iowa, and once a tree's dead, the beetles don't want it.
It's not all hollowed out by the time it's dead, is it?
No,
Sounds
Okay.
like they're in the bark or in the cambium layer.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
That's where they do their business,
Yeah.
and they leave their trails. And
I moved to the other trees.
but then there's a fungus.
exactly
there's a
what
fungus on
happens.
them that gets into the xylem and the phloem. And
Right.
goes into the circulation
Mhm.
system of the tree and plugs it up somehow.
You learn the
Well-
most fascinating things being a
Right.
librarian.
Well, if they, more
when
than
you-
likely, if they wrapped
Climb up
it,
trees.
they wrapped it and transported
Part
it
of
to
the
the
job,
mill,
right?
they'd be okay.
I would think.
Probably
Yeah.
just wrapped and.
Wrapped it, yeah.
transported,
Yeah.
Probably.
There is.
Well, there's something else for your list to figure out how to.
I mean,
But the
there's
arborist will know this.
There's a specialty mill up Highway 22 that does a lot of hardwoods and different stuff.
Well, maybe since I have an arborist under contract, I can just shoot him off this question.
Correct.
And get a
doesn't
real
the
answer.
Doesn't
Yeah.
the city have an arborist?
Yeah, but this answer didn't come from the city arborist,
Okay.
yeah, it came from.
It'd be terrible to waste that wood. It'd be nice if it could be used in the library somehow.
There's a specialty mill in
Yeah.
the library district in our Oregon City,
Hmm.
just outside where I
American
live.
There is specialty mill.
Yo-
Okay.
Yoder,
Yeah,
I know.
specialty mill.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
They have
Yoder,
nothing
and
old, it's just
they are
Tabernacle
specialty,
Elm
yeah.
right there.
Okay, great information. Way to go, library board.
Yeah.
And then the other
Yeah,
thing
deal.
that
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned to you was the programming
Pretty.
that we're starting to do with
Somewhat.
THA in a limited contract.
Yeah.
So that has generated this first public meeting that we're going to have on September the 5th. You have a flyer in front of you. And I will be talking to them more tomorrow about what we envision with the public meeting and all that stuff. But what we were initially talking about was starting it off with like a slideshow of like interiors of some other new libraries to kind of spur imaginations and just conversation. So it's really just to kind of, not just for public input, but to get people kind of dreaming and thinking and all that stuff. Not that we can accommodate their every wish or anything, but, I'm sure there's some great ideas out there.
Are any of those photos that we shot during our tours available? Or what-
They are available. I could look
but
at
I
those.
don't know if you want to look at them or not.
Well, I can look back at those and,
And there's some of them that are pretty impressive, and some of them not so impressive. I think they should see not only just pretty pictures, but also things that probably didn't work so well. Maybe McMinnville. I don't know.
how not to do an edition.
No, I don't know if I can say
THA
that, but I
probably
mean,
won't have anything more than their own
What?
portfolio. And I think it would be really useful if other libraries had portfolios of photos that they could email to you for you to select from. I don't, would something like that happen? Would it be likely they would? You'd think they would have
they might have it on the
relatively
website.
new, or,
From other libraries?
yeah.
I could get some from libraries in Oregon that I know THA didn't have anything to
Yes,
do with,
just local ones.
Sure, in addition to the ones we've toured quite a few by this point in
That's not
time.
a bad idea, what you've done has, I think.
Yeah.
The good and the
Oh, we shot hundreds of
bad.
shots. I mean,
Yeah,
these
exactly,
present-
choose a few and.
Throw them up,
the
show them our work.
Okay, and then, so I have some communication ideas as well. Because I've been thinking about this and talking to David Frazier and just blah, blah, blah. You already know that we have a Facebook page and a newsletter and a website, and that we're obviously going to have some public meetings, you know, kind of to be determined, but obviously there's going to be some public meetings, and this will be the first one. Another idea is to start visiting neighborhood associations, and I did that last year. But what I think would be really awesome is if the library board chair and maybe one or two other people either did that with me or went out to your own associations or something like that to give more of a, public face to it instead of just the library director face. I mean, I'm always well received everywhere, but I think it would just expand our
Sure.
way of
I'm up for it.
connecting.
Yeah.
And I mean, each of you guys probably has a group that you could
Sure.
talk to.
Sure.
And so obviously we have neighborhood associations, but the other thing we need to think about is how to reach out to people in the unincorporated areas.
Well, they have
And-
the CPOs also,
CPOs.
yeah.
So,
Doesn't the Hamlet have regular meetings?
Hamlet has regular meetings
Yeah.
every month, yeah.
I had gone when we were, another issue, I went to Beaver Creek Hamlet, of course I go to, and Clark's, I went to, Malino, I emailed trying to contact, never any response, whether they don't.
I
a lot
don't
of
think
these
they
don't-
exist.
A lot of them don't meet.
Yeah.
Malino, I think, does exist.
Mm.
what does CPO stand for?
Citizen Planning Organization.
Okay. And so how many do you
It's
guys?
like a neighborhood organization.
Right, okay. But do you know how many there are or what they are?
Well, the
In our
county
area?
has a map.
County has a map, okay,
And
perfect.
you can overlay that with our library district, and they will probably follow pretty closely.
I might have notes, because at that time I was looking at all that were in our area.
Uh-huh.
Like, I didn't go Redland, I don't know that I contact, that would be one.
Yeah, we
That's
would want
close enough.
Redland, yeah.
Karis maybe, but, you
Yeah.
know, too much farther, you're getting close to Malala Library.
Right,
That would
and
be the
yeah,
library.
and I could look at the boundaries, but a lot of those people would just go to the Malala Library, I'm
I
sure.
think probably Redland and,
Karis.
Karis, maybe that's what I think about.
Those two and Beaver
Redland,
Creek.
Karis, Beaver Creek,
Yeah.
and Clark.
Holcomb Outlook.
Are all the key ones, I think.
That probably covers the district,
And Clark's.
yeah.
You can remember a Clark's out there.
It's just
Oh,
beyond
it's-
where I live.
It's
Okay.
a lot smaller
Yeah,
than Beaver
Beaver
Creek, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Which
Which
definitely.
means it's itsy bitsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's Holcomb Outlook too, which adjoins Park Place. I know some
Oh.
of them go to the Park Place Neighborhood Association meetings, but not all of them, I don't think.
Oh, that's right, they
Is
would
that
be.
outside the city?
Mhm.
Oh.
That direction,
What-
okay.
Would that
Great.
include the Holly Lane area?
No, that's actually part of the Hamlet now.
Oh,
The Hamlet kind of
Hamlet?
spread
absorbed.
Beaver
Yeah.
Creek.
Beaver Creek.
Beaver Creek Hamlet, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, Polly Lane is Beaver Creek.
Mhm.
Well,
Really?
yeah, I'll do
Okay.
that one.
Okay, good. That's really helpful. So then the other groups that we might want to consider are like the moose and the elk and the optimists and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I just don't think it hurts to just even say, here's what the library does, because even before we get the bond issue going and all that kind of stuff, which, is like a complete separate conversation. We don't really want to talk about that
How
at
about the
all.
Chamber of Commerce?
And the chamber. Yeah.
So maybe we need just a basic outline of the points that.
Oh,
we need to
yeah.
cover.
Oh, yeah.
What you need
Kind
first.
of
Yeah, we would
program,
kind of have
yeah.
little,
Talking
not
program.
like word by word, but a talking points for sure. And we could
Yeah.
discuss that. So how about if I put together kind of a list with maybe a calendar of when some of these groups meet or something, and then maybe some suggested talking points, and we can kind of massage that and then think about dates to invite ourselves to some of these things? And who? Would that work?
That would work best.
That would be great.
So outside the city limits, the county has an office for coordinating all of these. I forget the name of the office now, but it's
I'll have to
for
find out.
coordinating all of the community
CPO.
planning groups.
Okay, county office, okay, great.
Yeah, and they'll have the map, and it'll be easy to overlay and see who's who, and they'll know when the meetings are.
Do they have like like our neighborhood association have that one group where all the neighborhoods are?
CIC.
The
Yeah, same thing, yeah. It's the
Or
same thing,
C.
only on the county level. They
Uh-huh.
have one person who runs a little office.
That's a one-person thing, not
Yeah.
Yeah.
one
But-
representative from each CPO comes for a meeting.
Well,
done.
they do, but there's one staff
There's
person.
been a change. There was a woman from county who came to every meeting. She was our liaison. She's been fired or let
Oh.
go.
Oh.
And I think it's someone else's, you know, kind of half being, so
Half
it's,
a-
there have been some changes.
Karen,
Half a
The
FET.
the hamlets and CPOs are part of C4. So I think that maybe takes the place of what CIC does.
Okay.
That's all the representative from
It's
every
all get
city,
very-
hamlet and CPO.
Very politicized, but yeah, we'll do what we can.
Great, thanks.
And Mo, could we also maybe encourage the foundation to have somebody here on September 6th
Oh, yeah.
to identify themselves and that here's a place to go to?
How you do it,
Donate.
how you give your money away.
That's a great idea. I did send that to all you guys, but just kind of as a FYI, so yeah, I can make sure that somebody's here.
I'd like to suggest we do a presentation individually, one of us, at book groups, and starting with the library's book group, and then we know of other
Sure.
local book groups, and some of those people might know of other local book groups too.
It's a great idea. And one idea would be also PTOs or PTAs or something like that, if we
Yeah.
really wanted to drill down to that level.
Yeah.
It might be like, for instance, at Redlands, maybe they have a CPO that never meets, but maybe the PTO does meet.
Yes.
You know, it might be a better group to connect with or something. So I think there's going to be a little research needed. But then what I'd like to do, of course, is also like have this master email list that would include all these groups so that when things happen, or, you know, just an update or a new FAQ or whatever, then we can shoot these things out there and hope that they get distributed in some way, you know? So,
I think definitely, and don't worry about overlap. Beaver Creek Hamlet's probably the most active, biggest, 25 people if we're lucky ever, you know? And so I definitely think you should go to the schools too.
Yeah, I agree. I think the schools will be an important part of this.
yeah, I
For
think they could
support.
help. And besides, I think a lot of people don't really know what we have or we're doing. And they're a lot more likely to support us in the future if they have a little bit of information now, you know?
Yes.
And no matter how much we talk about the building, you know, I think that's key. So,
Actually, there's a newspaper in Beaver Creek, I don't know that any others.
Really?
It's a little friend of mine puts it out, and she has lots of online subscribers and pick it up, and she'll pick it up if I'm at the Hamlet, so we don't have to, but I don't know if there are any others like that. There's a lot of people out there.
Okay.
do that. Beaver Creek
Cool.
Bulletin. Sharon
Uh,
Charles.
well,
Cheryl's still doing it?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Mo,
yes.
Amazing.
in my position, you know, at church, I have a small leadership role in a group that I deal with. I can put that on the agenda very easily because I'm the leader of that group, but I'm not sure what my priest is going to say if I want to stand up on a Sunday and talk about that. I mean, I'm willing to ask him, you know, I have no problem asking anybody anything. All you can get is a no. So,
well, you know,
you know, because
Yeah.
in those kind of situations, you have a focus group of people that are pretty much interested in good works for the most part, or their children, and so you know, I might jump into that
It
pool
relates,
too.
I think.
Hmm?
It relates.
Yeah, it does.
Community.
It relates, and particularly in our case, you know, we have it's St. John the Apostle, the Catholic
Oh, yeah.
school there, of course,
right.
and most of those parents are quite concerned about their children, and
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to want to
Education.
know about
Yeah.
this anyway
Correct.
because it could affect even
So-
just simple things like traffic.
yeah, right.
Well, yeah, we're part of the same neighborhood. But,
Yeah.
you know, speaking of churches, I mean, I think that if we had like a meeting, for instance, you could maybe make an announcement about the meeting and then just say, you know, for more information about this and other library matters, contact Fred or Maureen Cole. I mean, I don't know if, you know, just something really generic to not
Right.
like super promote anything, but like just be informational.
Yeah.
I know, because in my church bulletin, not my current one, but my Catholic church where I grew up, I mean, we had stuff like that.
Yeah, I can put it in the bulletin as well.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So, so speaking of that, if you want to, you know, work with information that I've given you and, you know, just forward it to whoever, obviously that's fine. But if you need something, a different format or a different this or different that, just like let me know. And I'll try to get you what you need in that kind of aspect. Another thing I heard about that is happening is that one of the advisory boards is trying to meet with all the other boards, and eventually, that's the planning commission. Eventually, we may see them for a little work session, and it's really more like, here's what we do, what do you do, kind of thing. But
That'll
that's
be in our interest also, because whatever we do here,
definitely in
they
our
will,
interest.
they will have to approve it.
Well, not just the planning commission, but there's the historical review board would be
Yes.
really helpful. And then just in general, just kind of, in the transportation board might be helpful. But even beyond the
Correct.
political aspects of
Correct.
that, just like informing more citizens about what we do here and what we're promoting and da-da-da, it can't hurt,
Mhm.
So I was thinking that we may want to try and work out some schedule of doing that kind of thing. I don't know.
And you're sitting in a park, so you might want to go to Prac.
Yeah, well, see, that's just it. It's like our stuff does touch a lot of
Mhm.
different, so we have this really natural overlap. I mean, there's 4 of the,
Mhm.
You know, they ought to be on some kind of an email invite list for the public meetings,
Mhm.
so that they can see
Oh,
what the
yeah.
programming process is all about and start to get some ideas about what we're thinking about, because,
Right, well, so I think
so
I
that they
could.
don't say no.
Right, and I could at least have like Katie or Nancy Ide or somebody like send it out to everybody, like this meeting, for instance. But so, yeah, that's a great idea. So let me look into both of those items, okay?
Okay.
Do we have another meeting scheduled after this? Because I'm thinking I can put an article in that Beaver Creek Bulletin, but I'm not sure what her deadline is for.
Our next meeting
this
here
one.
is September 11th.
So, but we don't have the next public input one scheduled.
We haven't gotten quite that far.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll check and see.
And then another idea is that we might want to reschedule or make this meeting a little bit later once in a while, so that more people could come to this meeting if we thought there's going to be topics. Now that gets really funky because there's another board meeting that meets at 7 after us, but like 4:30
Oh, no.
is way too early to expect a lot of the public to be able to attend. So if we, I just kind of want to place that little thought in your mind, because as far as I know, it's not written in stone anywhere that we have to have a meeting this particular day at this particular time. I mean, obviously there needs to be plenty of notice if we change something.
Is this just a traditional date that we've been using?
As far as I know, it's just a traditional date, right? And
Okay.
so,
Tradition. Wonderful thing.
it might even, I don't know how many people have not applied because like it's a time that they can't come. Not that I'm
Yeah.
unhappy with my current board, but it's like, as we go
Yeah.
on and think about recruiting, yeah.
Us with nothing better to do.
That's not what I was thinking.
That's not-
But you know what I mean? It's like, it's not the most convenient time of the day
Yeah.
for
it's
some
not.
people,
Well,
if you want to
yeah.
get that broad,
Laura's always late when school
Yeah,
starts.
and when Brian Johnson was on it, he
Mhm.
could barely make it.
Right.
So, so it's just a thought, and especially if we ever have a meeting where we know we're going to have like a lot going on, or we really do want to incorporate, an actual, public inputty kind of thing. Maybe we can kill 2 birds with one
Mhm.
stone and just
That's
change
fine.
the time and.
Do we have a schedule of this room, when it would be available later?
I would have to ask kind of
Yeah.
when the regular meetings are.
Yeah.
I know that, like tonight at 7, there should be a meeting, but then that meeting actually might get canceled frequently,
Wow.
for all I know, too, so.
What does the board feel about meeting a little bit later?
I mean, it's fine. I would be willing to do that. In fact, I've adjusted another meeting to a Thursday night, which doesn't conflict with this, so I'm not stacked up.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, so you're not
yeah.
running off to something else?
Correct.
Yeah, I know,
No, and
Dan, you have work
I'm
to.
fine.
Fine.
I have oftentimes gotten here late because 4:30 is a little bit of a stretch if I'm downtown.
Sure.
So,
Mhm.
so I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Well, like 5:30, stretching it 1 hour, is that?
But that's not really helping someone who
I know-
works.
I know that.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Especially with traffic.
Works for
Yeah.
the work sessions.
Huh?
I said it works for the city work sessions.
Works great for the city work sessions, yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, I think it's, an hour is a big help.
And then how disruptive would it be if we had chosen a date and we needed to actually meet at the Carnegie, for instance?
or the adult community center?
Yeah, the Adult Community Center.
Oh, I see. That's an
The
idea.
the Carnegie is available several nights a week after 7,
Mhm.
but not until then. And then usually on a Thursday we have programs
Okay.
because we close at 6, and so that's like the one night we can kind of close up and get everything adjusted before 7, and then have a reasonably timed program. But other nights, I mean, it just depends on the week. Like next Monday, we're having Social Media Monday on Monday,
Mhm.
you know. And then the Adult Center is crazy busy. I mean, and they, like the yoga class books it for an entire year at a time. So it's like kind of hard to dislodge some of those groups.
Oh, yeah.
But they often have a space. It may not be your first choice, but they often have a space. But like, I looked at having our September 5th meeting there, and it was booked, you know? And this should be plenty big for our public meeting. It would just be great if we had people like out the door.
But you wanted to have it here rather than the Carnegie?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did. I think it was more timing than, I wanted to have it relatively soon.
Mhm.
And our Thursdays were like all booked up, and having a meeting there, I wanted to have it earlier than 7 for some reason. I don't know, it worked out that way. There was
Well,
like
the
conflict of
chairs,
other
aren't they
neighborhood
early?
association meetings and all this other stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. So as it is, yeah, it was not easy choosing a date. The McLaughlin Neighborhood Association has a meeting that night that doesn't start till 7, so I'm hoping if any of them are interested, they can come at 6, at least for a little while,
Okay.
you know?
Is this being circulated to them?
Yes, it will be circulated to them, yes, but it has not yet.
They were kind of testy about not knowing before, so I thought,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and by the way, I had a very nice conversation with Denise McGriff today.
yeah,
And we talked about communication and stuff like that, and we just had actually a really awesome conversation.
everything's
so.
simpatico again.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it's been for a long time, but I just said, you know, if you can give me a heads up on the neighborhood on anything, please do, you know?
Yeah.
Something we can, if you want to go to meetings, something we can do ahead of time that I haven't thought of, blah, 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 please. So,
Okay.
yeah. Let's see here. I think that's all I have in this area for now. Any questions?
I would imagine that by September 11th, we'll have some engineering reports and et cetera then, right? Okay.
Yeah, I imagine that Matt or Krista or somebody will be at the next meeting, as well as we'll probably have an executive session at the next meeting.
All right. It's a future agenda item then.
Do you know what format this meeting with the public's gonna take? Is someone going to be, you know, presiding over it, and are people gonna be just throwing out ideas, or do you?
Well, we're going to discuss that tomorrow, so if you have any great ideas, let me know. But I think we want to capture, you know, have a couple of writers, you
Oh,
know,
good.
capturing ideas.
Yeah.
And I would like actually to have the architects kind of run the meeting, because
Yeah.
they've done this
That'd be
kind of
good.
stuff before.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And so if they, you know, people are running off in a direction that we're not quite prepared for, maybe we, you know, it's like, okay, that'll be a future meeting or blah, 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 you know, kind of thing. Or I can capture it on a parking lot kind of page,
Yeah.
but not spend the whole meeting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be my
So-
feeling too that at this first initial meeting, if you can attend board members, it would be very good to make a public appearance.
Another meeting that
That's
night.
right, but I mean, if you can, just to show.
Yeah, I think that, I agree, that's.
Yeah,
gonna be
even if you
important
don't
to-
say anything, at least the board or
Well,
some
what
of
we
the board
can
is
do
there.
is the board members who are here can be introduced, at
Absolutely.
least, so, you know.
It's a show of support, I think it's
Show of
really
support.
important.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
agree.
that'd be awesome.
I have 7:00 meeting.
We'll have a portrait of you and say.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll put your face on
Shoot
a
this guy.
stick. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Other building topics.
I thought it was great on Thursday at the concert for the volunteers and whatnot, to stand there and actually kind of visualize the box that's going in there, just slide
Yeah.
it in there, you know.
Yeah.
I get so thrilled when I think about that.
Mhm.
So anyhow,
Yeah, Linda and I spend lots of time drawing like little boxes and squares, trying to picture the flow. It's not going to be an easy build.
The more I
kind of
looked at
thing.
all that beautiful glass and everything, it's like, where's your workspace?
My workspace?
Where's anybody's workspace?
Well, I think
That's-
a lot of staff will be downstairs in the basement.
You
The staff that don't need to interact with the public. And then I think just because how I'm envisioning it, it could be completely different. I have no idea.
But you have to remember the architects will help you with that.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, of
And
course.
so what you just
That's
say
their
is,
specialty,
I
I'm
need so much
hoping.
kind of workspace and I need this kind of thing, and they'll start
Yeah,
kind
but
of putting
I
it
mean,
together.
I
But-
think like as far as us knowing like the flow of things and
Mhm.
stuff, that's
You'll
kind
need
of
to
our
understand that,
specialty. So
But
anyway,
you got the
it-
wants list first, and then you kind of start
Oh,
refining.
I want,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
right?
Which-
What do we don't
The problem
want?
with that is, yeah, it can get
It's
very
eliminating
expensive.
what we want.
Yeah,
and paring
yes.
it down.
Correct.
That will be very tricky.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mo gets walls instead of barricades.
I want a window.
Well, I did have a friend here from the Springfield Public Library Monday, and she thought we had a very tidy little ship that did quite a bit of business in such a small place.
Yeah.
And was quite impressed with how open it looked and how
Open.
functional it looked.
That's nice.
And, she really complimented us on doing well in a small space. And the interesting thing is, like, their service area is very close in size to ours, population-wise. And I know what they've had for a long time, which, of course, has been too small for a long time, and it's a gazillion times bigger than ours. But anyway, it was
Right.
nice to get that compliment. All right, onward?
Director's report, it's still you.
Okay. All about me. All right, so I did the regular monthly business. I kind of put in this category. And sorry, the legislator thing looks so funny. But we are still doing, our foot traffic is still up, even if our circulation is just kind of par for course. We are circulating a heck of a lot of items, and it's like really pretty statistic within a very small range every month, And our foot traffic just kind of goes up by 1 or 2% every month as well from the year before. So we're getting a heck of a lot of traffic, and we're often really busy. The state keeps on wanting statistics broken out different ways between circulation, adult and YA and juvenile and stuff. So if you see differences in numbers there, a lot of it, that's all it is just breaking it out in different groupings. And so I just kind of look at the bottom number, the total. And we're down about, we're down about 2,000 items from last summer, but this time last summer.
But Library to Go is up.
That's just it. Library to Go is way up, not by 2,000, but by quite a bit. And the other thing is we have those Kindles that are constantly circulating, and they've got, how many ebooks on each of those?
I think they have like 32.
Yeah.
Where does
So
that fit into this table?
Surprise.
Well, it doesn't really, because we don't really know how many books on each Kindle are read. So the Kindle itself is just like a book. You know what I mean? It just gets checked out as like a book.
It's one of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But as far as like how much reading somebody might do while they have it, it's,
That critter has well over 1,000 books on it.
yeah.
And Lord knows how many of each one of those has been read.
Yeah. Exactly. So, so we've got that going on for us. And we'll probably be buying some more ebooks or something from a kind donation from Don Wright in memory of Norma. Yeah, which is awesome. We just have to land on what we think is best.
Send me the bill.
You got it, mister. You got it. I like that kind of talk. And then our children's programs are up. Attendance is down just a little bit. But, in many aspects, all that stuff is going really, really well. The summer reading program is up from last year. We had a goal of 1,000 last year, and we didn't quite meet it. But this year, we're up to almost 1,100. And we included adults, but as you can see, there are 59 of that. So we kicked way over the 1,000 with just the kids and the teens, which was awesome. So we're up to 685 likes on Facebook, which is about 20 more than Westland. I knew you'd want to know that statistic. And, you know, we have well over 500 people getting our newsletter every month, which is a lot of work, by the way, so I'm glad that there's a good high statistic on that.
Newsletters are tough.
I still can't figure out why I can't enter you. Yeah, it is really weird. Maybe I'll try again.
Well,
Don's gonna
Yeah.
forward
I
it.
had a problem with some bounces on the chamber email, so I always send one to myself.
Yeah.
I forwarded it from my personal email account to a list of people, and they all got it.
Okay.
So if you've got a problem like with Claire's, just
Send it
create
to
a little
me
group.
and then forward it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
then just forward it
Yeah,
on to
okay.
her.
And I always,
Yeah.
I always test it myself too, so yeah, that would be easy. Okay, good idea. Okay. Yeah, poor Claire. She's so left out.
Mhm. I had like 25
and then,
bounces on city addresses.
There's
and they
this
were doing something
interesting
else.
thing coming down from the state. I can't remember if I mentioned it last month. The early learning and literacy hubs that are being encouraged by the state.
Is that part of the governor's?
Yes,
thing?
it's part of the governor's 40-40-20 thing.
Yeah.
And I think.
That sounds right to me.
Okay.
Probably part of that in the Common Core piece.
Yeah, it's all kind of together.
Yeah.
But the goal is to at least initially inventory all services that would affect children and families as a byproduct, so that everybody can kind of coordinate. And the libraries are at the table as far as the state librarian is working with the group at the state level. And then here in Clackamas County, we've had the gal who's coordinating the Clackamas County one come to one of our directors group meetings, and we have a representative of all the libraries attending their meetings. And it's kind of just this mass, huge, big group at the moment, because on any one meeting, like 40 to 50 to 60 people could attend from all of these multiple groups. So they're trying to get it all organized, but I think it's a real opportunity for libraries to like say, you guys really need to remember, and here's what we can do for you. We're going to help you remember what we do for you in the area of early literacy, and how important libraries are of filling that, zero to school gap on literacy, and like, how important that is for kids to succeed at school, and blah, 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 blah. So I think this is really a good opportunity and something for us to use, frankly.
Does that mean attending these meetings?
I don't need to. I mean, we get information. I don't need to at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of too disorganized.
I'm just
at the
saying, we've got a lot of meetings kind of stacking up here, and then here's another one, so.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think what that means for us is that. So, for instance, the whole district has a children's committee that Linda goes to, and they're going to be looking at like making sure they have an inventory of what everybody's doing just within, the Link district, and we're making sure that our calendar gets properly promoted to this group so that our activities are at least made aware of. And then we can be thinking in-house, how can we improve our literacy programs and be more intentional about helping parents improve literacy at home and all that kind of stuff, So it's just being a little bit more intentional about stuff so it just goes farther, And yeah, we'll see what comes of it. It's kind of interesting. I think it's a good opportunity for libraries. And then next Thursday, we'll be closed all afternoon to do staff day training, which turned into staff afternoon training. But it's the day of the final concert in the park. And so it behooves us to kind of like let them take over the building because they have to set up so early. Just let them take over and get out of there and just kind of, not do business. So it's a good time to do something else with our time. So we are going to come here to City Hall. Well, first we're going to have lunch at the library and play a shelving game, which all of us have to play because I'm going to look really stupid.
No,
I think that's the
have to
goal.
play.
I think that's the goal, is
Yeah.
to see how stupid the
Yeah.
director can look.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come here after having some fun together, and Irene Green, who is the new director at the Gladstone Library, is going to kind of facilitate a conversation about difficult situations ranging all the way from civility or lack of civility to security. and just kind of help people brainstorm solutions, because my staff gets really uptight when it comes to just unusual or difficult situations, because it doesn't happen that much, really, you know? So just conversation about that and making sure everybody understands the security measures that we have in place. And then we're going to go out to the end of the Oregon Trail and get a tour, which kind of builds on what we did last year of getting a tour of the historical stuff down here in this area. Because one of the things I want to be sure is that the staff knows what's going on in Oregon City, what's available, and if they get questions that they can act knowledgeable about it, you know, have some firsthand experience. And so that's opened up recently, you know, reopened. And so it'll be nice to get a tour down there. So that's our plan. And then Linda attended National Night Out, which sounds like it was awesome. How
Yes,
many
it was
people
fun.
did you think you saw?
We gave out at least 200 bags, and everyone didn't take one, so more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, did you hear that? She had fun. You know what that means? I need to go out of town and not be available for these
There you
things more
go.
often.
It was Linda and Judy, and they were smiling, and Judy got up on my Facebook page because
Yes.
Linda sat in the shade.
Right. That's right. Yeah, you took a picture and I posted it, and a whole bunch of people liked it because they had been there and they loved that. You know, so whatever those kinds of things that we can do, they're always
Mhm.
very well met. You know, so I think, you know, just the more that we can do, and it's great. And then our digitization grant. Many thanks to Karen for making this all happen to start with. Is moving along. They've actually completed a portion of it, but you know, just a very small portion of it. So we're Sue Adams is actually finishing her first quarterly report on the grant, and it just is starting to feel really official. And she's had a little training, and she's preparing a brochure so that she can start doing some training things for people. And it's just a great project. So it's digitizing historic newspapers in Oregon City.
Would this be like, sort of like the Google outfit? You can actually view it either as a scan page or as a flowing text?
Right now, it's just the scan pages. If you go to historic newspapers, Google Historic Newspapers Oregon,
Yeah.
it's part of the University of Oregon project.
Yes.
And it is searchable. You can browse the issue,
So it
or
is-
you can
it is
search and go directly to one page.
Concatenated, so you can, if you wanted to look for moss, you could find moss.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the parts of it is the museum came into, or has access to the original bound newspapers.
Oh.
Initially, when they filmed them, they held them open so that you lose things
Yeah,
in the
in
In the
fold.
middle, yeah.
We gave them permission to unbind them. They are refilming them flat and then digitizing them from the new films. And
should be a lot
as we
better.
find more money, we have lots more newspapers. So we all have our eyes out
going.
for additional grants to keep going because we got copyright permission to end of print.
Is it a complete set of newspapers? I mean,
All the way through the end
Really?
of publication in the 1990s.
what
And
a
we have
find.
permission to
Okay.
film them.
If they had been scanned for the microfilm correctly, didn't have the bound, could they just digitize from the microfilm they already have?
They're digitizing some microfilm because farther back, we don't have some of the papers. But wherever they could locate the papers, and then starting early 1900s, it's pretty much a complete collection. So it's thank you to the Milwaukee Museum and a former director of the Milwaukee Museum and the Clackamas County Historical Society.
Great.
Yes, kudos to those groups.
Chris rescued everything.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a really awesome project, and I mean, I think it'll be something to really, you know, publicize big time.
Well, and having had to read all those newspapers to gain information, being able to search digital
Yeah.
copies is going to be so
So
great.
searching will be, yeah.
Mhm.
Will there be a search function?
Yeah. It's not as refined sometimes as I'd like, but they are searchable.
Because the print is different now.
It's
And the
partially.
recognition is
Yeah,
not
and
the
it's-
same of the type.
So you can't
rates.
use Nexus then to do
Spelling
that?
is different
It's
sometimes.
I
it's
see.
built into the system. It's actually it's pretty good. The problem is, the more newspapers you get in, the more results you get. So, if you narrow it to the city, and I just bought a subscription to newspapers.com, and I'm finding it frustrating that I'll get a lot more than I want, and you can't quite drill down as detailed as you'd like. And it's right, I was looking up somebody named Samuel,
Yeah.
and I'm getting like drawn or something because it was blurry, it was a different font. It's
Oh,
I see.
yeah. So
Sometimes you have spelling differences during different
Yeah.
ages of time
Yeah.
too, which throws a wrench in that kind of thing.
So as OCR gets better and better, that's helpful. But it's what's in your original material. So, but it's all there. So I'd rather have 50 possibilities come up than having to read 200 newspapers. I'll take the near hits.
About how long will that project take?
Oh, months?
Yeah,
Months,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a slow process.
But it's a matter of months, not years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Great.
unless we keep going. But we have to be more grants.
And
though. I
somebody
mean,
else
this
Yes,
is
doing
we
it.
need more
finite
grants to keep
selection.
it going.
Yeah.
This is only up to a certain date.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and for $250,000, we could finish the whole thing.
That's all. We could, yeah, well, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Can't build a library with that. So that is all I have for
Okay.
the library director's report.
Anything different than on the statistical report, or it was,
No, that's basically the same.
Basically the same?
Yeah, it's kind of just a summary.
and we can skip over legislation text, because
Yeah.
that's also the director's
So,
report.
I think so.
Is there any communications that anybody has received?
Just some verbal from parents in the neighborhood who are telling me they are absolutely thrilled that we want to build on site.
Really?
Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mostly mothers with young children are very happy to hear, and they're coming in the bookstore and making sure they tell me.
Good. That's great. I think it'll work. Oh, I have one more thing to report.
Yeah.
The odor, which has plagued us,
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
is quite a bit better. It's not always completely gone, but it is quite a bit better.
I noticed it was there earlier this time.
Yeah, yeah, and
It was not as strong as the last time I was in there.
right,
so.
but that's the strongest it's been in several weeks. And so, it improved when the Public Works Department cleaned the sewer lines or did something to the sewer lines over by, Singer Hill Cafe, that intersection, and then I think they did the same thing over by the church. It's hard to know because they do so much over there by the church. There's like some big water thing
Yeah, it's
over
a
there.
junction.
Yeah. They're always there. And so I think what I'll do is let them know that I noticed the odor today, and then, because they said they would just keep doing that. Even though it makes absolutely no sense to them why that should have helped, it seemed like that helped because that's when the odor went away. And it was, honestly, it was like instantaneous. It's a really weird thing. Our report that we got back from the environmental scan that we paid $2,000 for was negligible. There's like nothing in the air. There's nothing, at least you can tell your staff and your patrons that there's nothing that
Kill 'em.
they should be worried about. Yeah.
So those-
They could not find anything, and, they viewed, pipes and blah, 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 and there was nothing to be found. In the process,
But the nose is more sensitive than the measuring devices.
I
The nose is very sensitive, yeah.
curious if maybe it's just an old pipe that stumped off out underneath somewhere that backs up. Because Lord knows how many things are no longer, pipes
Yeah.
and things are no longer in use under the ground there.
Or some
Don't worry,
critter
most
that
of that will
crawled in
go
there and
away
died.
when we build.
Good. I hope so, because
Oh,
it would
we'd have to
be
dig the yard
really
up, though.
awful to have a new building with an odor,
That smell. Oh,
That'd be really awful, yeah.
Has anyone ever noticed, just to follow up on that, has anyone ever noticed a bubble coming up the toilet or hear a gurgle in the sink or anything like that?
I don't remember that.
Because as you described the sewer being cleaned or deducted, and then the smell going away means the sewer's not under pressure and there's no, but if it's pressurized in any way, the gas is going to back up somewhere, and it could be making kind of a gurgling sound that then you'd know for sure. But.
Yeah, not that we've noticed.
So otherwise, if it's really connected to sewer, then the old stack pipes, the vents that go to the roof, probably are lead and oakum, and they're probably lead and oakum is the joint sealer, and over the years those shrink and dry out, and then they could leak, and so the gas could be getting out of the vent stack into the wall, and the walls are empty; they're not insulated,
Right.
and that could possibly be it. So
So that's the vent
that's
stack?
the sewer vent stacks.
Out of the roof, yeah.
And
Yeah, I
they
know
go
they've
to
been
the
looked
roof.
at. I know
Yeah.
they've
Oh,
been
sure,
looked
I'm sure
at.
they have been.
But
But again, your testing agency was looking for action levels, and your nose picks up stuff that's way below the action levels.
boy, that's for sure. So when you say lead and oakum,
That's just the
It's a
joint
packing
sealer.
compound around
Yeah.
the joint, in the joints. It's the stuff they pack the joints with, and then they pour
Is that one word, two
lead.
words? What is it?
No, it's two
Lead
words. Two
and
substances,
oakum.
two words.
Yeah.
It's
lead
nautical,
and
that's what
oakum.
they used to use in the chinks of.
okay.
Correct.
I'll draw you a picture after the meeting. And
Yeah,
and
well, I think I
explain
know
that.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I think if we tell our facilities person this, she'll know exactly what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
Round joint.
You're getting a great education today.
Really?
We are learning so much today. This is
Trees
awesome.
and
Dutch
sewer
elm, Dutch elm.
pipes.
This is great, and Dutch elm disease, and
And as the building project goes on, she'll learn
That's
even
why you
more.
bring it up.
oh boy,
That's
won't
right.
we? Yes, and I'll share what I know. Okay.
So future agenda items will be a closed meeting next time about various things having to do with the building.
Our September 5th meeting you're talking about?
I'm talking about I'm talking about the September
11th.
11th meeting.
Future agenda items for September 11th,
Will be an update on the building and an executive session.
an executive session.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
good.
And if there's not an executive session, because I have to think about the dates, I'll let you know why. But I think we probably would be due for one by then.
Okay. Any other things of interest that we need to know about? If hearing none, I will take the Abernathy Elm gavel and close the meeting. Thank you very much.
Great.